ask you, tell me who you are. Right. Tell me, if I ask you to tell me who you are, how would you define yourself?
Well, normally a question like this, if we are talking about who I am, I will perhaps say my name. I'm Soler Jean-Well, and
Okay.
I could say I'm a student of the Jamaica School of Preaching as well, and I'm a Christian.
Okay. Now, you notice that everything you've said are memories. In other words, at one point you registered at Jamaica School of Preaching, so that's registered in your brain.
Yes, sir.
Everything you've just said, someone did give you that name.
Yes, sir.
So really, you are who you are based on stored memories.
Yes, sir.
So if by an accident or illness, that section of the brain were to become infected or damaged or to be, removed, obviously, you would know that you were a student of Jamaica School of Preaching. You would know your name. So if I were to ask you then who you are, your answer will be, I don't know. I have no clue.
That's true.
So really the brain, the storage, how you store information becomes really critical. So for example, in an environment where African Americans are described as being inferior and they experience themselves as being inferior by the way that they're being treated. And if that happens over a long period of time, eventually the brain files that information and that becomes part of the definition that you hold of yourself. So
Yes.
even though the society may think you're inferior, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to conclude that you're inferior.
Yes, sir.
In order for you to conclude that you're inferior, you have to experience it. Whatever the brain experiences, it memorizes. So for example, if you are in a society where you're being beaten, you've been called names and stuff like that, and you can and you feel hopeless and there's nothing you can do about it, eventually you're going to define yourself as being inferior. Now that definition certainly will impact how you define yourself. It would also impact your creativity, and it will create a lot of stuff. And if kids who internalize that early may even drop out of high school, because what's the use? So if a young lady is being told that she is fat, ugly, and will never amount to anything, and she's been treated that way for most of her life, chances are she'll come to believe that. So if I were to ask her who to define herself, she may refuse to define it, but there will be a crying inside. There will be a sadness inside. That sadness inside can manifest itself in person becoming depressed, may even lead the person to want to commit suicide and not want to live. So for example, that news feed that you may have seen where the 18-year-old young man last week, well, no, it's this week actually, who went to an elementary school. Did you see that?
No, sir.
Okay, this week in Texas, an 18-year-old young man shoot his grandmother and then take high-powered guns and went to an elementary school and killed 19 students. Elementary student, we're talking about elementary, right? Young, we're talking about,
Yes, sir.
and killed 19 of those children, and I think maybe 2 adults, teachers got killed in an elementary school. Now, you have to ask yourself, these young children did obviously nothing to this young man, right?
Yes, sir.
So what do you think is going on in this young man's mind to cause him to, first of all, the first thing he did at home was to shoot his grandmother, and then took her car, overturned the car, and then went into an elementary school and emptied, the gun. Of course, police came and killed him on the spot. But what do you think? We also know that he was a high school dropout.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you envision? We're talking about human development. We're also talking about how, remember we said you're not born good or bad, right?
Yes, sir.
You have to be socialized to become who you are. Remember I walk you through the illustration, right? I ask you who you are, you start telling me what your name is, that you're a student at the Jamaica School of Preaching, you are a Christian. I mean, what you were doing when you were giving me the answer, you were researching in your brain to see who you are. And
yes,
you were pulling information. It's like you were in a library pulling books to solve a problem.
Yes, sir.
So you were pulling information from your brain, and those were the things you were coming up with. I'm
yes,
sure
sir.
there are other hidden definitions there that is not so, you may not. There are even unconscious definitions, ones that you don't even think about, but ones that you act out, basically.
Okay,
You
yes,
follow?
sir.
So the brain is a storage. So the question becomes that if you want to change your future, what is it that you're going to have to change?
I believe the present.
No, well, you change the information that you've stored, because remember, all the information that you have or the information that you've been using to solve problems. So if there's an issue that's going on in your life that you can't change, and the reason that you can't change it is because you've been using the same old solution.
Yes,
so you're going to find a new solution to store in your brain in order to, for example, let me give you for example, an alcoholic, a person who struggles with alcoholism. Well, there's a reason that he is doing it, is because there's something in his life. Sometimes he gets stressed, he gets frustrated, and he uses alcohol to calm himself down and to feel better about himself. So the brain figured out that this is a solution. So anytime this individual start feeling stressed or there's a problem, what do you think the brain is going to do? What's the solution to that problem? The brain has stored something, right? What would be the solution?
The brain will lead the person to do what makes him feel better in that circumstance.
But in this case, though, what has the brain stored? The information that's there. What's the information? Alcohol. So the brain, see, he doesn't even have to think about it anymore.
Yes.
Because there is a memory there, and the brain is going to go straight for what fixed this problem.
Yes.
So we are the victim of the information that we have stored in our lives.
Yes, sir.
So then the question becomes, when Jesus says that you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free.
Yes, sir.
What Jesus essentially is saying, that you have to change the old way of thinking and take this new way. And one of the new way that he has proposed is you have to accept me. You follow?
Yes, sir.
And of course, there are different ways to begin to do that. Now, James, in the book of James, James chapter 1, I think it's maybe verse 18, probably, somewhere around there. Let me see if I can find it quickly. James chapter 1.
Verse 18.
Verse 18. Okay, maybe you're right. Okay, verse 18 says, in the exercise of your will, he brought us forth. Well, I mean, that is true too, but I want to go to the one that says, receive the implanted word. Is it verse 21? Let me see. Therefore, putting aside all filthiness and all that remains wicked, in humility receive, see that? Receive what? The implanted. See that?
Receive with meekness the implanted word.
Right. Now, where the implanted word, see the word, the implanted?
Yes, sir.
If you substitute that to mean storage, store the word, store the information. Because once you store the information, it is now accessible. The brain can now use it because it's now stored. But
Yes.
remember, it says, though, therefore, putting aside. See that? In other words,
Yes,
erase some of the toxic, negative emotions and thoughts and behaviors that's been stored.
Yes, sir.
And overplant those with the implanted word. So you can say the implanted word, some of the attributes of that would look like the fruit of the spirit, for example. Well, it even says here, where did it say? You said, let me see, which is able to save us. Right. See, the humility, see that? But if you go to Galatians 5, the fruit of the spirit lists all of those things. These things are attributes. But in order for you to implant them, you must practice them. You remember, I don't know if I talked to you about Pavlov's experiment, where you put some food in the case, and eventually, maybe by accident, the dog hits this lever, and food drops in. So the dog eats it. So the dog gets hungry again, and the dog again fooled with this thing. Eventually, the dog learned whenever it feels hungry, what do you think the dog is going to do?
Going to
It's going to hit the lever.
Yes.
It's going to hit it and get food. It's going to hit it and get food.
Yes.
And here's the thing, though. If sometimes you don't put any food and the dog is hungry, he's still going to do what? He's going to hit the lever.
Yes.
He's going to hit the lever. Okay. Now,
Expectation.
if now you put food in, but you're going to do something else. Whenever the dog hits the lever, instead of the food come, you shock the dog. And every time he hits the lever, you shock the dog. Guess what's going to happen? What do you think will happen?
He will know not to hit the lever.
But he's in a cage, so eventually when he's gonna starve and die.
Yes.
Even though food is there, he's gonna die.
Yes.
Because the pain is greater than the reward.
Yes, sir.
So that's how the same principle, Pavlov's principle of reinforcement and reward, applies the same way.
Yes, sir. I think we touched that a little bit.
Yeah. So, but I just wanted to operationalize it, how it operates in terms of the memory stored in the brain.
Yes, sir. When we spoke about the object relation theory, the baby,
right, exactly,
goes to know his mother and father as being his provider. Whenever he's feeling a need, they are going to cry until that need is being taken care of.
Right. But if the baby is crying and no food, the mom never shows up, you can see how the baby over time is going to develop a problem, psychological problem.
Yes, sir.
And part of that psychological problem might be trust.
Yes, sir.
And that could become a problem even within the church itself, where people, let me see, somebody's trying to call me. Let me see what is going on here. Let me see. Okay. Hello. Let me just, hello?
Hey, brother, how you doing? You got a couple minutes or no? You live in teach. It's another world.
Oh, no, I'm in a class right now, actually. Okay.
Okay, all
right, bye-bye. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, so yes. So yeah, so the point here is that you can see how psychologically the person can develop long-term problems in terms of trust because of the memories stored. So no one is ever going to help me. I have to help myself. I don't need people, I just, I don't need, but also it becomes a problem though, because when they're in a crisis, they may look for help, but how they process that help, because of the way things are stored, they've always fixed their problem. If you go back to the alcohol fellow, even though, well, a good example, another example would be a church. Let's say you have an all-day fellowship. Some members may have to go behind the building to smoke cigarette. Follow?
Yes.
Well,
sir.
why is that? Why the urge to go? You have to take a break to smoke a cigarette because of the memory stored. You start feeling anxious. You start feeling some level of anxiety, and the brain remembers the solution to that is to smoke. So you have to take a break. Most buildings right now would say you cannot smoke on their property. So people go in their cars and sit and smoke. They take a break, a break to smoke.
Okay.
But I've seen it especially in the United States, where church members, mostly men, will go outside behind the building to take a quick smoke. That memory, though, is stored because whenever you're anxious, the brain knows that cigarette reduces that. So that becomes a solution. So if you're a Christian and you're going to church, but that memory is still there. So whenever you feel anxious, you go out to the building, you're using the same old method to fix the same problem.
Yes, sir.
That is what is called a habit. So you are the victim of your habits.
Yes, sir.
You repeat the same problem. In St. Vincent, earlier this month, a lady, 34-year-old lady, has 9 children, and she is unable financially to care for them. So these children go all over the street to people's home and beg for food. Sometimes they go, the 9-year-old they found in an abandoned car, and body's been, rotting and it's just horrible. And it seemed like he's been dead for 3 or 4 days. But the mother didn't realize, didn't even report it, because he said, oh, he comes home, sooner or later he'll come home. Because he always does this. He come home sooner or later. I mean, think about a 90-year-old, right? Who is gone for 4 days and the mother is still, oh, he sure, so he can show. Now, you have to think of that mother. If you're that poor, one, you had the first child. Why the second? Because there's a habit stored in the brain. I need some money, quick sex. Man will give me some money. I need a piece of food. This is how I fix it. So she wind up with 9 children, 34 years old, and can't feed any of these children. So those children are the victim of the mother's stored problem solving, how she solves her problem. Think of a prostitute who go out every night in the street to sell her body. Because the brain knows that's how you pay the rent, that's how you do it, and that's the solution to the problem. So she's going to use the same solution again and again to fix the problem.
And now, sir, the thing is, we need to put new material in the brain, as you have said.
Precisely.
So what is the process of doing that now? Because since the person gets so used to it, it can be difficult to break it. So like, how much time will the person have to repeat that in order to break the cycle?
You have to do it. Remember with the dog, how you train the dog, Pavlov's dog? It's a conditional situation. You have to condition yourself to new material, new environment, new ways. You have to come up with new ways, new solution. One of the problems with the application of grace or the gospel is we apply it the same way all the time. Here's the application. We go to the building on a Sunday, somebody preach a 45-minute sermon. We listen. Sometimes we don't listen, depends on what we like, whatever. And we go home.
Yes, sir.
There's no application, because it might be when I go home, I already have a plan. I already bought a ticket for the big concert that's coming up. Hello? I already planned for that.
Yes.
I already gone and get my hair done. I already gone and bought my outfit. You follow?
Yes, sir.
For all of that stuff. I already have a date. See all the preparation. Like a woman will probably go and get her fingernails done, or toenails done, or hair done, not to come to church, but for the party that's coming up.
Yes.
So those are behaviors, see, in reinforced behavior. So sometimes change doesn't occur within the religious community the way that God expects it to happen, because of the way we choose to do business. A person can go to church on a Sunday and never even think about the problem, or think about changing it, or plan to change it.
Yes, sir, that's true.
That is why in some of the Pentecostal churches, women may dress different. They dress maybe below their knees. You follow, they may wear different colors. But if you notice, when you see them in real life, their dress kind of look the same. Decent. Like if you look at the Muslim women, they wear something over their head, right?
Yes.
But when you see them in their secular life, they dress the same way. They cover up. Because it's become part of their memory system.
They're indoctrinated.
Indoctrinated that way.
Yes.
Now, within our tradition, women can wear any different thing they feel like. You follow?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes their breast is practically falling out.
Yes, sir. That's true.
So the question becomes, what's driving that memory? The memory is about, I gotta look good, I gotta look sexy.
Yes,
I
this
need,
is
I need
a part
men to
of
look at me. I need men to look at me.
this is a part of it, but we know, as we have said, it would have been like a socialization.
It
So
is a
since
socialization.
yes, since the girl was growing up, maybe her mother already had this attitude, and then the way the mother is dressing her, trying to, you know, let her look good and all of that, maybe calling her princess. You know, she will go to feel like, you know, she's a princess. She need to look pretty. Some parts of her body have to be, you know, out and all of these things. So it's early. It's from the beginning.
It is. And that's where, we have to make, Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5, that you ought to analyze yourself, test yourself. That's a Freudian kind of a way of saying, do self-analysis, do self-therapy to analyze, to see the condition of your life. And that's where I think sometimes we don't spend time doing that. Most people focus on three things in their life: the environment, their bodies, and their time. You focus on your time, you focus on your environment, and you focus on your body.
What about dreams or objectives, goals in life?
Well, sometimes we don't even think about those things. We just do things by habit. We get up, we go to work.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't process that. But in order for you to change the quality of your life, you really have to focus on those things. You have to sit down and design, what do I want to achieve today? Where do I want to go? Because if I can't do that, then it really means that my life would always be the same. So in essence, we are the products. We engineer what our future is going to be. The problem is we're using the same set of solutions for the future. That's why nothing ever changes. Because the memory that you have whenever you're in crisis, you're going to pull from that memory. And that's why we keep repeating the same behavior again and again.
All right, sir. Now let's talk just a little bit about that.
Uh-huh.
For example, myself, I
Yes.
love watching movies or series.
Uh-huh.
So the only way for me to do not really spend the whole day watching movies is only if I know that I'm gonna have an assignment and it is important. If I don't give it, something may happen. Then I will try my best, not to be doing that all day. But when I'm like, for example, on summer vacation, this could be the only thing that I do during the whole vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So is that to maybe appease my anxiety, or is it something that I just love as an hobby? Like, I'm trying to know, because it caused me to lack in self-discipline, because at times I may wake up and say, well, today I need to do that, but I need to watch a series first. But as I start watching, I just can't stop. I continue.
Well, because again, remember I talk about the alcohol.
About what?
The alcohol. Why the person? Because the brain's already set up a program. So once you wake up, there's a program running, there's a tape running. You don't have to think about it. It's running already. And so you're going to repeat the same behavior again and again, and you're going to find yourself with the same bad results.
Yes, sir. But like we spoke about the alcohol, right?
Yes.
But we were speaking about it like when the person feels stressed or is anxious and all of that. But when I wake up, I'm like glad, you know, I'm feeling happy and all that. I don't feel stress.
Right, but still the memory though, when you wake up, the things you go to are all things that are already stored. The brain knows it. For example, let me give you an example. An example would be for a person who smokes and at her job at 11 o'clock, there is a break for smoking. By 15 minutes to 11, she started having some sort of happy feeling. And the reason, because the brain is saying in about 15 minutes, you're going to get nicotine, you're going to be able to smoke. So even before she started feeling the onset that I need, when she really doesn't need it, but it's just a memory.
Yeah, yeah.
Because at her job, you are allowed to take a break at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So as I start getting closer to 11, the brain starts functioning. And so she's sooner or later going to want to go out and smoke because that's a habit. That's a learned habit. And so because of that, the behavior will continue. So in other words, in order for us to change our life, we have to change the memory that's stored in the brain. And by storing the memories that's storing in the brain, you're going to have a new way of life. But we are using old memory, and therefore we wind up with the same behavior. Even though we don't like it, we wind up with the same thing because we're using the same solution because it's already stored in the brain.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, in some sense, because this can be, as it creates a lack of discipline in me, it can cause me perhaps not to achieve certain things that I plan for my life. However, when we are speaking about old habits and all of that, I'm mostly thinking about maybe, you know, bad and sinful behavior whatsoever. But watching a movie or a series, to me, is not something as you know, sinful as we have been speaking about concerning the Bible passage. Let's say 1 Corinthians 5 and 17, or even in Ephesians. So this is not something that I used to do as a sin. It is just something relaxing, just to, you know, it's a hobby for
It
me.
is soothing. It is euphoric. Whatever is the body needs to feel happy. It needs euphoria. So for example, using cocaine, using drugs, it makes the body euphoric. You feel good, but the brain remembers that. So whenever you are sad, unhappy, the brain has a program. And the brain figures out that this is the way you fix it, but it becomes a habit. You don't have to think about it. It happens automatically. But at the end of it, it's going to be self-defeating and destructive.
Yes.
So in order to change that though, you have to change the memory system in your brain. Everything is stored in your brain. So you have to go in there and put new ideas in so that it becomes subconscious. Remember, Freud says that we are the product of our subconscious.
Yes.
So we have to change our thoughts. But not only change, remember in Pavlov, remember I said that if the dog hits the lever and food drops. So the same behavior patterns happened where you have to begin to practice. It is a practice issue. You know, we have theology, don't we? But we don't practice it.
Yes.
We only practice it when it comes to having a debate with a Seventh Adventist or a debate with an Anglican or whoever. But the truth is, it has to be practiced first. I think it was Jesus who said, you shall know them by their fruits.
Yes.
The end product. So if you want to change who you are, you have to develop an ideal image of what you want to be. You must always have what you want to be, the image you want to be like. So for example, we have Paul ask us, let this mind be in you, as was also, he's talking about a way of life. This is a model. This is what you pursue.
Okay, sir. I want to get it right, because if, let's say I'm trying to fix that, all right?
Right.
I need to bring new material to the brain, but whatever I brings in will be another hobby that I would love to do, or let's say, for example, every one of us are different. Some people will listen to music the whole day. Others may like going on vacations or traveling. Maybe some of them love kitchen or cuisine. I don't really know, like culinary something. We all have different things we do as being fun, as being a hobby. So whatever I should replace that with, it surely gonna be something that I love again, and which I will do more during my daytime.
Right, but you have to look at the cost. What is costing you? And where you want to be. You must have a goal set, and you have to evaluate, will this behavior or this hobby get in the way of me accomplishing today the goal that I want to accomplish? Remember, new goals are not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be enjoyable. It's nice to have a master's degree, but to get it, it's a lot of work.
Yes.
But after you get it, you can enjoy it.
Yes, and that's what I said that when I started, because I have 3 years in the school, and until now I don't really have problem with that, because I try to manage. I know when there is school, I have to spend time studying and doing assignment. Though I may watch movies as well, but I limit myself. But when there is vacation, this is something different.
Well, I mean, vacation, you need vacation. The brain needs to rest. The problem is when the vacation time becomes greater than the productive time.
Yes, I understand.
So you have to have these goals, not large, but manageable goals that you can say. In both Ephesians and Colossians, repeat this phrase: redeeming the time.
Yes.
Both Paul said that. And it's interesting. Paul wrote Ephesians and Paul wrote Colossians. So so that's his headset. That's his mindset that he shared with both groups, that redeeming the time, and so that's kind of where you have to manage your time well. But so here's the thing though, if you want to change who you are, you have to first develop the ideal person you want to be, and know that you can't want to be a blonde. You know what I mean? I said blonde.
Like with
yellow hair. I've seen African American women buying a blonde wig and wearing. I've seen that. It's ridiculous, but I've seen that.
Yes, sir.
Because they want to be a blonde, but it can't happen. So to set that goal is ridiculous.
Yes, sir.
But we see it all the time, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So, you may want to change your eye color and have a green eye. You buy something and put in there.
Yes.
I've seen men with all gold teeth.
Yes.
There's an image to change. Remember I said, we focus on our environment, we focus on our time, and we focus on our bodies.
Yes, sir.
So that's where the energy is. So we have to begin to, focus our attention in other areas in terms of self-definition. How do I want to define myself? What is it? People don't go for help until they know that they're powerless to change themselves, to fix whatever it is.
Yes, sir.
And that's when they go to, to make some changes in their
Yes,
own life. So here's what I'm saying to you then. Change how you define yourself has to do with the memories that are stored in your brain. Just like you said, I'm a student, a JSP student. Remember you said that?
yes,
And you said, what else you said? You said, you're a Christian, right?
yes, sir.
So, but those are all stored information. So if that section of the brain becomes damaged and I ask you again who you are, you say, I don't know. I don't remember my name. I don't know where I'm from. I'm lost. I don't know where to go. And the police have to come and help you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And get you home safely because
Yes.
it's no longer that. So when the Bible talks about becoming like Christ, it's talking about that changing all of those information the way it becomes the way that God wants it. And here's the important piece though. He has given us two sources of information. Well, not just information, agent. He's given us his will and he's given us the Holy Spirit. With the combination of those two, then it becomes possible for us to change the memory. That's why, remember, James asked us to receive the implanted word.
Yes,
But he
sir.
also said, put away these things. In other words, he's talking about changing the memories that you've stored along the way.
Yes, sir.
So that's where the real power has to be. Remember Jesus asked the disciples, who the men say that I am? And then he asked them, but who do you say that I am? And it really took them a long time to really get to the real answer of that.
Yes,
Even
sir.
when Jesus was on the cross, when Jesus was taken that night by his enemies, even Peter denied that he knew him.
Yes, sir.
It took a while for them to really come around to the idea that yes, he is risen, he is truly the Son of God, and therefore we can trust him and give our lives to him. That's a process.
Yes,
And
sir.
so, yeah, go ahead.
Now, the thing is, at times, we store certain information in the brain that are, to me, no longer memories. They become more like a reflex.
Well, but there are memories, though. They're stored memories. It's just that if you think of Freud, think of what Freud said about the subconscious.
Yes.
That's why you dream at night. Your dreams are as a replaying all of that stuff you've stored. That's why in therapy, dreams become an important healing tool. We have to understand that because it gives us an idea of your preoccupation, what you're focusing, what you're worried about, what you're stressed about.
Well, this is something. I know we would have spoken about that, but the way you just break it down here, I'm like kind of confused because sometimes you dream about something which you have never thought about, and you have seen people that you never seen before. You don't even know.
Well, think about the book of Revelations. Not everything on the stage you need to focus on. You got to focus on the central piece. So in the dream, you look for the trends because dreams are all bits and pieces, but there is a common trend in that. Okay. And it might be fear that you have. It might be anxiety of some kind, but there's a message in there. Because what happens is when you go in REM sleep, the brain begins to play itself. Automatically plays itself, and these bits and pieces comes back. That is why if you wake in the Caribbean, it is quite often said that a ghost was on me. I wake up and I couldn't move my legs because the jumbie or the ghost was holding me down.
Yeah, I know of that, yeah.
Right, but what really happens is whenever you go in REM sleep, the brain disconnects. And so if you wake up abruptly, the brain has to reconnect everything. So you won't be able to lift your legs. You won't be able to move until everything is connected.
Yes.
So remember, you're thinking, I'm trying to get my legs to move, but it can't move. And it's like something is holding me down. But it's just the brain it's been disconnected and it has to be reconnected.
Yes, sir.
And so dreams are a product of that. And so in therapy, we have to ask about your dreams because it tells us what you're preoccupied with. And it gives an idea of that and help us. But don't go at the details, just like in the book of Revelation. On that stage, there are a lot of stuff on the stage, but not everything have, significant meaning.
Okay.
Gotta look for the central message
Okay.
in the drama. Like on a play, not everything is, the light not everything. You look for the central message. What's the theme in there?
Okay.
Because it's all stored in the brain. So in a way, we can say we are the product of our storage, what we've stored about ourselves. Because as we get older and older, and as the memory begins to fade, we may even get to the point where we don't remember our spouse. We don't know who the person is. Somebody you've lived with for 50 years.
Yeah.
Because the storage is breaking down. So what we need to do now, though, is that's what, Jesus said, go and make disciples. Is talking about helping people to refocus and to store proper information that will last a lifetime. And that's where we become transformed into the image of God. And that transformation is the storing of proper right information. That's why Jesus said you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free.
Yes.
Are we getting close to chapel time, I think?
Yes. We have 5 more minutes.
Okay, 5 more minutes. Any questions you have on how because remember, we're talking about human development, and I wanted us to focus on the brain.
Yes, sir.
Because the brain has a lot to do with, it has everything to do with,
yes, sir.
How we see ourselves, how we define ourselves, what's important to us, and so on.
Yes, sir. I was saying something earlier when I was speaking about reflex, because I think yesterday I was asking myself that question because it was amazing. I sit by myself. I don't really remember what I was doing. And I start moving my leg in a certain way. But I start saying to myself, wait, but I was not thinking to do that. How am I doing it? Then I say, all right, let me see what else can I do without thinking. And it's like I'm moving my head. I said, wait, it's like I'm not even thinking to do that. So what is going on here? I should have been thinking, or is it something that I take so fast to do?
But you are thinking, when a couple of things could be happening. One is that you're bored and you're what shall I say? You are soothing yourself by doing that. It's a soothing process. You're anxious, you're bored, and so you may find yourself biting your nails, rubbing your legs, doing whatever tactile, doing whatever it is, all that stuff. It just means you're bored.
Yes, but that's why I say reflex, because I was not thinking to do anything. I'm just seeing myself doing it, and I'm asking myself, why am I doing that?
But you have to be careful, though, in a classroom. If you get bored at what the teacher is saying, you may start scribbling on a notepad, drawing all kinds of stupidness, and miss the whole lesson.
Yes, sir.
So you may need to either get some good sleep the night before, so that when you get up, you have the energy to do what you need to do, so that you can get the information that they're giving.
Yeah,
if you're really tired, it might be polite enough to ask the teacher, can I go to the bathroom, just put some water on my face to wake myself up a little bit?
Yes, I mostly work at nighttime, doing assignment and study as well.
Yeah, but because what's going to happen in the morning, though, you're going to fall asleep in the class and you're not going to get the stuff that they're giving.
Yes, sir. I
So
don't
you wanna-
normally sleep in class, but sometimes I may feel far away.
Well, your brain is going to shut down, whether your eyes may not be, but your brain is still going to shut down. You can't process the information.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Most traffic, what's I say? Most tragic accidents happen on the highway because people fall asleep while driving.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's nothing you can do. The brain, when you're tired, the brain will literally shut down. It doesn't matter whether or not you like it. It's going to shut down,
Yes, sir. That's true.
and you're gonna have a horrible accident. That's why you need to pull over, take a nap. Maybe
Yes.
maybe not 30 minutes, because if you go 30 minutes, you won't be able to go again. You're done for the day. Take
Yes,
like
that-
maybe 5 minutes or so, quick nap, power nap.
Yes, sir. That is why even if I have a lot of things to do, I may feel like working during the afternoon, but I just cannot because there is no focus. I have to wait until maybe 12 in the morning, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to do that. That's the period where I'm more productive. But if it is in the afternoon, I just can't work.
But that may you may have a bad reputation though among your teachers. Because in the class, if you're falling asleep or you're not, and they could figure it out.
Well, as I say, I don't.
You have to be very, very careful with that, okay?
Yes,
Very
sir.
careful. It is better to ask the teacher to excuse it where you just go to the bathroom, put some water on your face and come back. I hope they would allow you to do that, given the situation.
Yes, sir. Perhaps. But as I said, I don't sleep in class.
Okay, but I know some
may-
students do.
In the afternoon, like from 5 maybe to 8, I may sleep. 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. I sleep. When I wake up, I work, study, do assignment. That's how I function normally.
Now, let me ask you this. What happened to the other student? He doesn't seem to be showing up. What's going on here?
Oh, all right. They are having other classes at the same time. So some of them, if they miss them, they will have to repeat them over.
So
I'm
the
not
person who was supposed to be in this class, what happened? They're not here. What's going on?
It's Brother, let me see, which are Brother Buckland, okay. I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, but we're probably cutting into Brother Buckland's time. We've got to get out of here because he has the next class, I think.
Yes, sir. It's 10 minutes before 8 now. Yeah.
Okay, so right, but we need to. Okay, so I need to figure out what happened to that student. If he is ill or is he, what's going on?
I don't think he's ill, but I will speak to him, sir. That's Brother Richard Roy.
No, does he live in the dorm?
He doesn't.
Or he live off campus?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I would have to. I'll speak to Brother Kiddu, not Brother Kiddu, brother. Who's responsible for that? Brother Francis York?
I'm not sure who exactly. Any one of them you could speak to, I think that's okay.
Okay, all right, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
have a blessed day and take care and stay
Yes.
awake.
All right. Thank you. Same to you, sir. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Bye.